Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike, and I'm excited to share another Divi tutorial with you. My goal here is to make learning Divi as straightforward as possible. Today we're going to see how to create a sticky audio content bar for a podcast website. So if that's something you're interested in, just hit that like button below and let's jump right in. Alright, so probably a great place to start would be to see how this actually the end product will function. So here we have a layout that's given by Divi. And so we have the podcast episode over here with the audio bar. If we scroll up and continue scrolling, it then kicks into the sticky element, and it will stay stuck to the top of the website as long as I keep scrolling. All right. If I scroll back up and it reaches there, it'll come back down to the original state. Okay, so this is what we'll be building today. And hopefully it'll go seamlessly and it'll be a quick one. Let's jump right in. All right, so let's create a new page. We're going to call this podcast demo, and we want to use the Divi builder. Okay, once that comes up, we want to choose a pre-made layout, and we want to search for the podcast. That's so slow now. Okay, and once it comes up, we'll just click on it, and we will look for the landing page, the one right over here, which is this one, and then we just say use this layout. So just let that load. And once it's done, you'll see that at the top of the screen, the first thing we probably need to look at is we have our menu bar or primary bar or main header at the top, however you want to term it here. So if you have a design that's fitting with this particular kind of layout and look and feel, then by all means keep it. But in my case, this does not. It sort of deters away from the rest of the design. So I want to remove this bar, and we can do so by just clicking on the page settings here. Go to Advanced Custom CSS, and in here we just say main header, and we say display none. So as soon as we do that, you see it's all gone. All right. Save that, and then yeah, I think now we can already start jumping into the excuse me, we can jump into the actual tutorial. All right, so the very first thing we want to do is we want to add in a row right below this main row. Okay, so if we look where it is, we come here, you see this green button, just hit that. We want to hit a single column row. And once that's done, let's just close this because we want to add some settings to this row. Okay, so design, sizing, we want to make sure it's custom gutter width. Let's push it to 1. Then for width over here, we want to make it 100%. And we also want to make max width 100%. Okay, then let's scroll down a bit more and let's give it a bit of padding. So for padding on desktop, we want to make it 10 pixels. Top and bottom, but on left and right we want to give this 10%. Okay, now that's for desktop, but on mobile and tablet we want to put this back down to 10 pixels. Okay, so it's just 10 pixels all around, but for desktop we want 10%. Okay, once that's done, we also want to make sure that this row that we've just done is going to be our sticky row, so scroll effects, and we want to stick this to the top. Okay, so this will cause that row that we've just created to stick to the top and when it becomes sticky and we're scrolling down the page. Okay, so once that's done, let's save that. We now want to take this bar and we want to drag that bar inside our new row, because this new row is obviously going to be where all the magic happens. So let's pull it in there. And then we also want to add a call to action. Remember in the original one, we had the call to action here in the top right hand side. So this would be like if you want to see more episodes, you can make this a clickable button and it'll take you to the page where it'll display all the episodes. Okay, so we want to include that in our design over here. So what we do is we can take this blurb at the top here and we can just copy it, copy module, and then come back down to the module that we're working on and then just paste this module. So there we go, paste module, and it's down here. Okay, once that's done, let's do a bit of styling to our audio. And if we come in here and we go design, title text, I want to go sizing. Okay, so text, title text size at the moment looks very good as it is. But what happens is when we go into the sticky mode, we want to try and minimize this as much as we can so it doesn't take up too much space of the vertical side. So if we scroll, you see it can take up quite a bit of space. So what we want to do is we want to make this a little bit smaller. Right, so if we jump in here, we try find sticky, and we can bring that down to as low as 14, right? Nice and small. So it's still legible, but very small. All right, we also then want to bring the line height down to about 1.3. Okay, and then one more we can bring down is the caption height, line height. Okay, so caption line height, we want to jump into the sticky mode and we want to bring that down to 1.3 as well. So that is a nice spacing between the wording. All right, now let's go on. The next thing we want to do is we also want to change a bit of the sizing. So width for this, we want to make about 80%. All right, and what we're going to do is when this is sticky, we want to push it up to 100%. All right, and then for our max width in sticky position, we also want that to be 100%. Okay, next we want to add in a bit of spacing. So we want to make sure that our margin at the top and bottom is 0. But then padding, we also want to make top and bottom 0. But with left and right, we want to make it 0. And then from the right, we want to give it 20 pixels. Okay. Right, and then we want to push this. I mean, it looks quite nice here, but I think it looks better if we can push this to the left, which is sort of like how a lot of them are done. But if you prefer, you can always just leave this here too. So to push this to the left, we're going to have to add in a bit of CSS. So if we can jump in here, we go to Advanced, Custom CSS, Module Elements, and then we just go and we look for the audio title. There we go, audio title. And we want to make sure we are in the sticky tab because we only want this to display when we're in the sticky tab. And we just say text, align. And we want this text to be where? To the left. All right, there we go. So he shot off to the left, but obviously we want the meta information to follow it. So we can just copy this and go to meta, make sure you are in sticky and just paste it. Now this one is a little bit different because they've already got a text align element on this particular element. They've got a CSS rule on this element already. So to override that, all we do is we just add in the important tag, if I can spell correctly. There we go. And it's also now on the left hand side. All right, something else we probably want to do here is if we go down to player buttons, see it's got the white over there at the moment. Now, when we are in sticky mode, let's change that as well. And let's give it a color of HFE4943, red. Okay, are we in sticky mode? Let's just cut this. Make sure we're in sticky mode. Yes, we are. And we want to paste. Okay, so if we come back to desktop, desktop is white. sticky mode is red. Okay. Another one we might want to do is the sliders current. We want to give this a bit of a background in sticky mode. Make sure again we're in sticky mode, and we give this a background of 2C4 CA3. Okay. All right, once that's done, we can save that, and we can jump into the blurb. That's the copy that we made of this one up here. Jump into those settings, and the very first thing we probably do is just give it a title. So we just say all. Okay, I obviously hit caps lock. All episodes. All right, and then we can jump into design. Nope, not this one. This one. And we want to make this comme sans, as my usual. We want to make it bold. Give it a caps. Then we want to bring this down to sticky. No, because it's always going to be. So let's just make this 10. Letter spacing, let's give it a bit of spaces between the letters of 2. And body line height, let's push this up to 1.3. Just to give a bit more spacing over there. Okay, then we can jump into the icon itself. And the icon, what we want to do here is we want to bring this down to 50. Okay, we don't want it to be so big because we're trying to take up less space. If we scroll down, we can go and do some changes to the sizing. And the first thing we want to look at is the content width. We want to make sure that this is 100%. But our width itself must only be 20%. Okay, there we go. We're going to jump back to the content tab. And then here we're going to add a background for this blurb. So first of all, we'll give it a color, 11844. All right, and give this a background image. So I selected, do I still have it? Yeah, there, that image. And once the image is selected there, we just give it a background image blend of luminosity. So that will bring it that nice effect. All right, so we also want this module to be hidden initially from view. So, until the row reaches the sticky state and the audio control bar is stuck at the top of the window. And so to do this, we just add a few snippets of CSS to hide the module on the desktop. So under the Advanced tab, let's just jump into our custom CSS and module elements, and let's go to main element. So under main element with desktop view, we just say display none, just like what we did with the main header in the beginning. But when we have sticky mode, then we want to say display block. Okay, we also just want to maybe jump out, give the blurb image just a bit of a margin at the bottom. Okay, and I think that's everything we need to do there. Now let's go and play around with what we want to do is we want to push, that's hiding it. Okay, there. See, what we want to do is if I scroll here, we want to take this blurb that we've created and maybe we want to put it in the top right here because we want, as I said earlier, is we want to take up at least the amount of vertical space here as we can, so that it doesn't impede upon the rest of the user experience that much. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, we can use a thing called Flex, CSS Flex. So I just need to jump into the row, and I'm not sure if I can, because everything's overlapping now. So let's just jump into the wireframe, and we go into the row. So this is the original row that we created. Jump into there. And then I want to open up the column, because remember we have the single column. Open up the column there. And I want to go to Advanced, Custom CSS, Module Elements, and come down to Main Element. Now for desktop, we want to say Display, Flex. And we want to say Flex, Direction. We want to say Column. Okay, and then for sticky, we also want to say display flex direction, but this one we want to say row, and we want to align the items center, and we want to justify the content also to the center. Okay, everything in correctly. All right, so let's save that. Save this. Once this is ready to think about it, we save that draft. And let's exit the Visual Builder. All right, so here we have the front end. There's our audio bar at the bottom here. Let's scroll up and see if we get the desired effect. We scroll, and there it is. All right, so it scrolls and it's quite nicely put behind there. All right, if there's one more thing that maybe I would want to do is to give the row itself a background, just to make sure that it's quite clear that it's there. Otherwise it might get hidden and it's not that nice. Okay, so let's just jump into our Visual Builder again. I also want to see if I scroll up. Right, there's one other thing I also want to do. So first things first, let's just jump into here and see if we can get this background color. Okay, that's all good. And then we're gonna have to jump into the wireframe because I don't know where it is. All right, so here we go. This is where we want. We want to jump first of all into our column, and we want to go background and just add in that background. Okay, save that. Then the other thing I also want to do is I just want to jump into my blurb design, title text, and I also want to give this title text that color, the same color, because it's lying on quite a bright or light background. So using the white font that I was using did not stand out enough. So let's just save that. Save that draft. Exit this Visual Builder. And let's have a look how this looks now. So if we scroll down, all right, it's now got the background. So you can see the things are all hidden now behind it. And we can also read the text here in the top right hand corner. Okay, so that looks much better. All right, so that's how you can easily add a sticky audio content bar for your podcast website. I hope this tutorial will be useful for you, and if it is, or if it has, please hit that like button to let me know. Also, if you use this in any of your designs, also come back and please share your website with us here so that we can also go and take a look. It's a great thing for us all to learn from each other. I am planning to still post more Divi tutorials as I learn more about Divi, so please hit that subscribe button to ensure that you don't lose out on any of them. And your feedback is valuable, so do leave a comment below with any questions or suggestions for future videos. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.